Is Commissioner Hardy here? Madam Mayor, it's 6 o'clock.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this Tuesday, July 18th, City Commission meeting to order and ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Mayor Pam Triolo,
Here.
Vice Mayor Scott Maxwell,
Here.
Commissioner Omari Hardy,
Here.
Commissioner Andy Amoroso,
Here.
Commissioner Herman Robinson.
Here.
Thank you.
If everyone would please rise for the invocation and the pledge. The invocation on behalf of Commissioner Hardy.
We meet to serve our community, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly, to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognize our responsibility to the past and the future, and the rights and needs of both individuals and community. As trusted servants, we seek blessings on our deliberations and on our efforts here today. May we act wisely and well.
Thank you. Commissioner Amoroso, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you both. Okay, if you would all indulge me a bit, we have a mayor's privilege that I'd like to take at this time. City Manager, would you help me on that?
Yes, if everybody's got their saying here written out on this piece of paper, follow along with me, and we all want to ask Vice Mayor Maxwell. Thank you for coming in today.
All right.
As if you've never heard that before or said it.
Okay, well, in honor of the Vice Mayor's birthday, we have formed a very special proclamation for the Vice Mayor.
You're kidding, right?
No, this is for you, sweetheart.
Is this going to make me blush?
Whereas William Scott Maxwell, also known as Scotty, first became an active member of the City of Lake Worth in 2000 as a volunteer member of the Code Enforcement Board, ultimately serving as chairman until his initial election to City Commission in 2001. And whereas Scott Maxwell turned 100 years old last week. And whereas Scott Maxwell's term in office in Lake Worth was from 2001 to 2002, and then he went on vacation. And when he returned from vacation, someone else had taken his commission seat. Whereas Scott Maxwell turned 100 years old last week. Whereas Scott Maxwell returned to serve on the Lake Worth Commission in 2009. He has not taken another vacation for fear he'd lose his commission seat for another 7 years.
Wow.
Whereas Scott Maxwell turned 100 years old last week. Whereas Scott Maxwell has been a strong supporter of the City of Lake Worth for 27 of his 100 years, and before that, he spent 10 years in elementary school in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, until they burned the school down and sent him to high school. Fortunately, his 6 years in high school gave him such a great work ethic, he was able to move on to Xavier University in Cincinnati. And whereas Scott Maxwell turned 100 years old last week. And
You guys are killing me.
And whereas our affection for Scott Maxwell grows each year, and we all believe that he is the prettiest one on the dais, he is the smartest one on the dais, and he is the nicest one on the dais. He is the only one also named Scott. Now, therefore, I, Pam Triolo, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth, Florida, by the virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby recognize Scott Maxwell on the anniversary of his birth and declare July 13th, 2017 to be Thank You for Coming In Today Day for Scott Maxwell.
Good for your age.
Thank you very much.
This is for you as well, from the Commission.
position.
Thank you so
And for the
much.
staff.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
I actually had a really nice birthday this year. I don't know why, but it was a special birthday this year, but thank you all very much. And again, thank you all for coming in.
All right, thank you for that mayor's indulgence. Additions, deletions, reordering. Do we have any?
Madam Mayor, we deleted ordinance 2017-14 as the attorney who was going to be presenting had got called out of town. So it will be heard on August 1st.
On August
First
1st.
reading,
So that is item 12A.
12A,
Has been moved to a time certain of August
August
8th.
1st.
August 1st.
August 1st.
Okay. Okay, so if you don't remove those from your agenda, I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Amoroso, seconded by Commissioner Hardy. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you all. Up next, our presentations. First up, item 5A, presentation by Chip Guthrie regarding the First Appearance Project. Welcome, Mr. Guthrie. And if you want to hold that mic, if it's easier to move around and whatever, whichever works for you.
There's supposed to be a,
Yep.
PowerPoint.
Sergeant Johnson is on their first appearance.
is this?
If it's plugged in, it should be.
There it is.
I guess I'll be a slide guy.
Madam Mayor and Commissioners, thank you very much for your positive input and comments about this initiative. Thanks especially to Commissioner Amoroso for spreading the good word around, and thank you very much to Captain Bear for his help in identifying and detailing how this program has worked in West Palm Beach's Northwood area, often with as many as 15 or 20 residents showing up with great success, and it's helped transform that area to the benefit of its residents and businesses. As a member of the Community Redevelopment Agency charged with eliminating blight in the CRA district, I was commenting on how, in my opinion, the epitome of blight is where you can see obvious prostitutes walking up and down the street all day and night on our commercial thoroughfares. Dixie Highway, federal highways. How the appearance of streetwalkers bring down the businesses, making them unattractive for customers and investors and developers, how it makes our neighborhoods less safe. The CRA Board of Directors unanimously agreed that the Lake Worth Advocate Group could be an important initiative in helping eliminate blight from our main corridors. Generally, it's common knowledge that where you see hookers, drugs and drug dealers are close by. More blight, ancillary crimes such as assault, burglary, robbery, and more blight pop up nearby. Our children have to witness and put up with discarded syringes and condoms, bottles and cans, debris in the curbs and streets and on our sidewalks. We as citizens are left to ask, what more can we do to help take back our city from this blight? First of all, it is important to understand that there is a game being played each and every day throughout Palm Beach County and more importantly here in Lake Worth.
Do we need a next slide or no?
Oh, yeah, I've got it down.
Okay.
There is a game being played, and the hookers, the drug dealers, and are players in the game. They know the rules and have legal defenders to help them with the game. Other players include the deputies, undercover officers, who have to know the rules of the game in order to make arrests that don't violate constitutional rights of the criminals. The PBSO does an outstanding job. They understand the game too. They are bound by rules designed to protect the rights of criminals, many times over the rights of us residents and business owners. Some of the judges over time have come to look at street-level prostitution activity as a victimless crime. Two consenting adults, right? But we are the victims. These crimes blight our areas, making us feel less safe to venture outside our homes. They attract the criminal element that burglarize our homes and businesses. They lower our property values while costing us more for law enforcement services. Unfortunately, this problem is growing, and the problem, and it is only a small percentage of the real problem, the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. As our addiction problem increase, so does this activity. There are Johns. How many customers did each one of these individuals have to have in order to feed their addiction? a vicious cycle. Drug dealers wait for their clients to complete a trick so they can sell them more dope. As you can see, the arrests are up. And these are outdated figures, but the captain can fill you in on some more recent stats. But suffice it to say, things are not going to get better on their own. So what can we do? How can we help rid our streets of these individuals and their clients and dealers? The answer is getting more involved. The process, or game, is that when an individual is arrested for solicitation, or any crime for that matter, they are given the opportunity to go before a judge the next morning. The judge reviews the actions that lead up to the arrest to find if there is probable cause for the arrest and what to do with that perpetrator. Should they be let out on their own recognizance? Should they get bail? How much? Should they have any restrictions to make that bail? This is where judges have a great deal of discretion, and this is where becoming an advocate for Lake Worth comes in. By showing up at the first appearance, we send a very strong message to the judge that we care, we are watching, and we want them to protect us. A no contact order, or we call it mapping, is a condition of release, mapping is a condition of release, meaning the perpetrator cannot be seen in the area where he or she is arrested for prostitution. She must go elsewhere if she wants to continue that behavior. If the judge doesn't see anyone advocating for the city, they may move the docket along and with a slap on the wrist, a minor crime, no victim here. We have to change that attitude. The first appearances happen every day, even Saturdays and Sundays. If a group of residents show up, our state attorney, our assistant state attorney, will try to group all of the Lake Worth cases together at the beginning of the hearing. She will alert the judges that we are there and wish to address the court. The judge may let one of us speak, at which time we can let the judge know that we are the victims and request higher bail, more time behind bars for repeat offenders, and mapping requirements if released. We have found that when we showed up and showed we care about Lake Worth, the judge acts accordingly and is tougher. Will we stop prostitution? Absolutely not. Can we make it more uncomfortable for them to do their business in Lake Worth? You betcha. This activity happens in Lake Worth because we let it. Hire as many deputies as you want. They can only arrest someone who solicits them or they have first-hand knowledge of the crime. Otherwise, they are there to take down the information of what was stolen, how did they get in, that type of thing. We can make the call, you all, but it is the judge that makes the difference. The word travels fast through the criminal. Do I have any more? No. The word travels fast through the criminal community as well. Word on the street is that Lake Worth businesses and residents are showing up to make it harder for criminals to conduct their illegal business. Human nature teaches that they will move to where they are tolerated. The Lake Worth Neighborhood Association's President's Council is supporting and sponsoring this effort. If you would like to become a Lake Worth advocate and show up at first appearances or any other court hearing, if you'd like to get more involved in other ways, you can make contact through your local neighborhood association or email your contact information to lakeworthadvocate@gmail.com. You would receive a notification of the need for your presence either the evening before or the morning of the hearing. The reason for short notice is for protection of our law enforcement and their efforts. If you decide to go to one of these appearances, as Captain Bear said, bring your popcorn, because it is a show and it is an education. Those of us who did attend, Tammy Panza, Richard Gercio, Chris Ide, who's not in town at the moment, and myself, those of us who attended, we all returned the next day. It was so much fun. If fun is the word. We felt our presence did make a difference, though. We would like to encourage more involvement, especially from the business community, to show how this affects commerce and encourage more stings and communication from law enforcement to make things happen. This is an exciting time for Lake Worth. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any questions? First, I just want to thank you for doing that. I want to thank all Tammy and Richard, and I'm sorry, who else did you say wasn't here?
Chris Ide is not here.
And Chris, for being a part of this. We know that it is already making a difference. There has been word on the street too. I've been hearing back from it, and I'm very proud of y'all, and I can't wait to see more people involved doing something about it, because Every time we stand up for ourselves, it's a move forward, and I thank you for that. Thank you, guys. All right, our next presentation is our quarterly presentation by PBSO's Captain Todd Bear. Welcome. Can you start with those, when he mentioned more stings, and our last sting was a doozy.
Good evening, everybody. Captain Todd Bear. This is Lieutenant Johnson, my executive officer. You look good for 100.
Thank you.
I'm back.
Feel good.
This is our community policing presentation. It's our happy one. We're not talking just crime data, but we'll touch on that. You pull it up. Okay. Go ahead. Here's the things we're going to cover tonight. I'm trying to keep it short and sweet. I know y'all probably have a lot of questions. We're going to talk about overdoses first. We'll get to that. Our new PBSO Code Enforcement Partnership Program. It's not so new anymore. We've been doing it about 6 months now. I'll touch on the Citizen Advocate Program that Chip just talked about, where we're at with the Sober Home Task Force, the big Operation Perfect Storm we did that involved the PBSO gang unit, where our 2 camera projects are at. Of course, our Breaking the Cycle program wrapped up with the first time doing it at 2 schools, and then the entertainment district we started last year, as well as the alcohol ordinance, and that's it. Here's your rolling 12-month calendar. You've all seen it. It's not pretty. With everything that we are doing from education, prevention, enforcement, and everything we're doing, it's trending upward, not downward. In the last 12 months in our 7 square miles, we've had 592 overdoses. I believe in all of last year there was about 375. So we're trending upward. Out of that, there was several fatal. I think we were at over 100 fatal. As you can see, in May we had 67 and non-fatal and 4 fatal, and June was up from there. So we're going to continue to fight the fight. It's not a Lake Worth problem. It's not a Palm Beach County problem. It's all over the country. So I'm afraid it's going to get a little worse before it gets better. I'm seeing things in Ohio and you know, all over the Northeast and everywhere else. So I don't have a perfect answer. I don't believe anyone does yet. But we're doing everything. We're in the forefront of what's being done to combat the problem. Our PBSO Code Enforcement Partnership's working out very well. As you know, we have 2 code enforcement officers working full-time with our community police, with the same 2 community police daily. One is being paid for by the sheriff, and one the city graciously gave us full-time. So it's working really well. We had a few little minor hiccups, and they had to take a little bit of a back burner while we were doing the big gang operation, but they're back running full steam ahead, and I think it's doing very well. Lieutenant Johnson monitors them personally. Here's some of their focuses. They're focusing on a lot of the blight, the hot spots in the blight. They're abandoned houses. They check them all. We have a list of them. They check it weekly. Where possible, they get it boarded and secured, or they post it where it's uninhabitable. And it's working, because a lot of our drug addicts and the prostitutes and whatnot, wherever you find abandoned houses, that's where you'll find them, because that's where they sleep. The red tags, hopefully you're seeing a lot less of them. We've been hitting that, not just this unit, but the whole code enforcement team did a very large operation. It was very successful. Again, that's the broken windows theory and the blight. So I was seeing a lot of red tags, and now I'm seeing a lot of the cars gone, which we ultimately want compliance, but if they won't comply, we're removing them, which is removing the blight. They're working on the businesses without licenses, and then they're helping us with our hot spots, hitting the crimes from a different angle. And we've got them focusing on a lot of the quality of life stuff, where we're seeing garbage. We have plazas where garbage is overflowing out of the dumpsters, things like that. They're just unsightly. And I just learned they can do things like, we get a lot of complaints in the parks with the dogs off leash. They can actually write those. That's in their book. So we've got them doing that, which allows the deputies to be doing some other stuff. But so far, so good. It's working very well. It's hard to touch on the advocate program more than Chip did. He did a great job. I just want to thank them, Chip, Tammy, Richard, and Joan from the CRA. They've all been doing a great job on this. It's not just for prostitution and drug reversals. If we arrest a prolific burglar or a robber, we can give them a heads up. I think every citizen should go to first appearance at least one time. Everyone, just to see the volume and the variety. You wouldn't believe it's way more beyond what you read in the paper or see on TV. The raw volume that goes in and out of that courtroom every day, and the variety of the crimes. If you can be one of the advocates, even better. Sorry, it's always going to be late notice. That's for the safety of the undercovers. We trust you, but if inadvertently you say something, it gets out to somebody else. It could hurt the safety of the undercover officers, so that's paramount. But it makes a difference. The attorneys have to be there. They're expected to be there. It's not uncommon anymore. We've been going for years. And that all helps, but when a citizen speaks about their own neighborhood, it speaks volumes. Because it goes from just being a misdemeanor or a felony nonviolent crime and looking at a score sheet to 2 or 3 of you saying you're picking up condoms in the street and finding needles and you're afraid to go to get the mail and things like that. That changes the whole thought process for a lot of the judges. So it's effective, and we're going to keep doing it, and we need to do more of it. Sober Home Task Force, you see it on the news. We have a deputy again, still assigned. That deputy just got renewed for another year. The whole task force was renewed for at least one more year. Hopefully it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Mr. Ehrenberg's a big proponent of it. They're making a lot of cases. A lot of the cases, they're very complicated. A homicide case is easier to work. There's a lot of subpoenaing and a lot of paperwork involved. By the time the deputy's done, it's like a phone book. And a lot of it takes time getting all that paperwork back. But the good thing is one case leads to another, so they've got enough work to keep them busy for years. Hopefully some of the legislative changes and things help curtail the unscrupulous sober homers. They made several cases, and that deputy focuses only in late work cases, which is good too. Here's the big gang operation. We coined it Operation Perfect Storm. The lieutenant and I, we watched the crime trends, and some of the same areas were heating up again, and we knew summer was coming, and that typically heats them up even more. So we got with the Violent Crimes Division, and they were gracious enough to have the gang unit assigned to us for a 30-day op. We gave them all of our street team and CP guys, and we got a bunch of deputies from other districts, and we ended up having a constant presence every day, about 12 hours a day for 30 days. They made 186 arrests in these target areas. That's in addition to the, about 2 to 250 we make every month anyway. So that in that 30 days, we put more than 400 bad guys in jail. So that's great, but at the same time, we needed to put 400 bad guys in jail. So we're working. What I really liked about it was that we had 3 assistant state attorneys working directly with us. They handled all of those cases to make sure they weren't just numbers, that they were going to give them the special attention they deserved. We made some great drug arrests. We see some drugs, some money, and some guns. The number that jumps out to me more than any of the other statistics, like the 186 arrests, was 26 cars fled from them in 30 days. 3 or 4 rammed into our guys on purpose. I mean, that's 26 cars that fled, several of which did not meet our pursuit policy. So what was in them? Guns, drugs, did the bad guys have serious warrants? That's a lot of cars fleeing. And when you consider 3 or 4 intentionally rammed us to boot, that's the number that jumps out at me. But it was a big success. It's not a one-hit wonder. We have a maintenance phase planned. They're doing this, they're using this model all over the agency to hit the areas that need it. So when they're doing it over in another agency or another district, then maybe another, then in a maintenance phase here, and we're going to try to keep it, because when we decided to do this, we said you can't just come in and flash in the pan. We need more constant presence. So that's what we're looking for, and it quieted down. And as soon as it stopped, we had a couple violent crimes, but then overall crimes down, which is good. So it's having a good effect. Next. The camera projects. The one that's live monitored by our alternate duty deputies 24/7 out in the glades with the tilt pan zoom HD cameras, that's up and running. I think we have 9 out of the 10 locations up and running, which is fantastic. We're making some good cases. Hopefully we're going to be able to add another 10 next year. and then 10 the following year. That's the goal. The voluntary camera program is also moving along. The Fusion Center, which is our Intel Center at headquarters, has picked it up, and they're helping us. Hopefully some of the business owners in the room have been contacted by them, checking on cameras and whatnot. And if you want to be part of that voluntary program, if you haven't been, you will be. They're hitting every business in the city, particularly on the main thoroughfares. But that's going to be another way to hopefully give us access to real-time video and whatnot in the future. So they're both moving along pretty well. I believe this is our 4th or 5th year with the Breaking the Cycle. We combined the anti-bullying and the anti-gang program this year and did it at South and North Grade, and every kid made it. That was the first time. Usually we lose 1 or 2, they move or whatnot. Every one of them made it this year, which was great. So all 40 did really well. It's my favorite program out of all the things we do. You really can see these kids change and how they view us change over the time. And a lot of them, they have a great day when we take them to Legoland, we take them out to eat. Some of these kids, the one kid, we took him to McDonald's on the way home, and he'd never been to a McDonald's. So, there's a lot of touching stories there. But we were happy to see a 100% completion rate. The alcohol ordinance, we're still monitoring it. When you talk to the deputies, they say crime is down. It's affected by it. The data, crime was down overall. So it's just hard to quantify exactly how much of an effect it's having, but I know it is helping. I'm glad it's passed. As I've said before, the guys are seeing less intoxicated people out there at night, and that's not just crimes. That's disturbances. That's domestics where we don't make an arrest. Just people drunk and disorderly in general. It's helping. That frees them up to do other proactive activities like traffic stops and things like that. I remember the store owners threatened that they were all going to have to close. I didn't see one business close. In fact, we're adding some convenience stores, so it didn't hurt their business, which we're not out to hurt their business. And like I said, we're going to look long term. Hopefully, we'll be able to see more to quantify the results. But I can confidently tell you it's having a good effect. The entertainment district we started last year with the 4 deputies downtown at the beach. We provide you 7-day-a-week coverage, almost 24 hours a day. There's like 4 or 5 hours from like 2 a.m. to 6 or 7 a.m. sometimes. We vary their schedule with it. It's not covered. But we're getting a lot of good results there. That's what they've done in 6 months. They handled almost 1,500 calls. They made 94 arrests, just the 4 of them. Traffic, they're usually on foot or in the 4-wheelers and stuff, so traffic's a little more difficult. And then they've field interviewed 118 people. And those numbers are actually on the low end because we try to have them pass off a lot of their activity so that they're still available and free. We don't want them tied up with arrests. They find a lot of arrests and whatnot, and they hand them off to a road patrol deputy, which is what we really want. But I'm seeing a good result in the downtown, Bryant Park, and the beach. So that's the heart of the city, and it's a good place to start with them. And with that, I'll take any of your questions.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Captain Baird, for the update, and again, thank you to the Sheriff's Office for all that you do for the city of Lake Worth. I'll say it again. You guys are the best thing that's happened to Lake Worth since sunshine, and we're going to keep it that way. So thank you so much. You mentioned that your entertainment unit answered 1,500 calls during a 6-month period. How does that compare to total calls in the city, roughly?
That's on the low end, and that's dispatch calls. They handle a lot of things before they even become a call. A certain shop owner calls them a lot. Several shop owners.
Okay.
So it's hard to quantify. It's on the low end. A patrol deputy probably handles a lot more than that in 6 months. But we want them, for the most part, what we call 10-8, which is available, walking around. We don't want them, if they make an arrest and they're back at the district for 3 hours, you don't see them at the beach, downtown, whatnot. We want them visible. So we try to get them to find things where you can issue a ticket or a citation or pass it off to a patrol deputy. But their presence is having a great effect.
Thank you.
Mr. Emerson?
And yes, Captain, thank you. And Captain had mentioned it's low, and I can say it's low. I get I call in a lot. But one thing that we have
See
that
the
works.
specific shop owner?
Yes, I am.
I kept it anonymous.
One thing that this does for the downtown merchants, the beach merchants, the Dixie merchants, is The cops visit us on a regular basis. They give us their direct cell numbers, so we have more of an access. We know who's working on what days, and it works a lot better because they're right there. They're easy. So some of those numbers do go untrackable, but by the time it goes through dispatch and gets back around, those people may have already passed or it has escalated. So it works a lot better to have these downtown beat officers. Two other things I had on my list. As we so if we can, work on,
That's definitely planned. We've had a couple of hiccups, changed a couple personnel, but that's definitely in the works.
and then on the cameras, is Pierre still the contact for cameras? Because I get a lot of people looking to register their cameras. If we could have a direct number or a direct contact, or what's the best way of going and identifying that officer that's gonna come out and work?
It's not Pierre, from our district, it's Detective Donovan, but
Okay.
I'm gonna try to get you, as long as they're willing, I'm gonna try to get you that person in the, out of headquarters in the Fusion Center, because that person and others are the ones going out to you, Paul, so.
Well, because I've
As
had
long
people
as-
call me, and sometimes it's easier to give them a contact and a number than
Mhm.
have them try to call into dispatch, and then you almost lose them because they, something comes up and they can't get back around, and then, if we have more of a direct source.
For now, Detective Donovan, that second program was his idea. He kind of came up with it, and he's still running with it.
And I don't know if you have a direct number for him or,
I'll
a
get it. I'll
contact
get it
through,
out.
but
Definitely
Detective
get it out.
Donovan. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Robinson?
I just wanted to thank your whole force, but to mention the sheriffs going out to the neighborhoods. When I go to neighborhood meetings, all of them are articulate, well-spoken, open to any comments or questions. They give out telephone numbers, and that's a key part of communication, which I feel is important to the neighborhoods, the response. So those guys, I want to credit to.
Thank you. You don't know how happy that makes me, because it's imperative. We talk about all the time. It is imperative. We do not miss neighborhood meetings. I don't care what's going on. We will get somebody there, even if the sergeant has to run in and say, it's going crazy out there. I got 2 minutes, but we don't miss those. And we try to send you the sector deputy who works your neighborhood every day, not just the best public speaker. I want them
They're
to
pretty good at
I
public
want them to
speaking.
have the knowledge, and I want them to develop their public speaking skills too. We got a lot of young guys, and this is a great place to
I'm
develop.
learning from them.
So, me too.
And thank
Thank
you.
you.
I think when we look at these statistics too, Captain, remember some of the dynamics we went through in previous years. You're only as strong as your strongest link. When other cities, their crime rates were going up, a lot of the people, it would change, just like when you had that the mapping program. When you say you can't go back to another specific location that you were arrested in, I mean, what was going on in the past was, they would start to crack down in West Palm Beach, and they would all come to Lake Worth. Or Lake Worth would do a crackdown, then they'd go down to Lantana. It was like this shift. We just kept shifting them from one place to the other. So this gives us some real tools to make a difference. And also with the gang extra help that we had too. Please keep the push on, because again, sometimes the perception is they don't know how much we've gotten our act together here in Lake Worth, and we want to make sure they know the pressure's on all the time, that this isn't a place for them to rest, stop, and plant their futures in, because we were going to call, we were going to show up, and we're going to do everything we need to do to make sure we keep this crime continuously going down. And good
That's
job
a
on that.
Great point. When I did the crime presentation 6 months ago, I only had our numbers, and our crime was down 3.4%, I believe. And I was thinking to myself, wow, we worked really hard, and it's down. I'm happy, but 3.4. But then when all the data came out recently, most of the other cities around us, and I don't like to point at my sister cities, but most of them were up, and a lot of them were up double digits. So suddenly that 3.4, or I believe what it was, looked a lot better than when I only had our numbers. So the hard work felt a little more like it paid off. So
Yeah,
thank
keep it
you.
up, please. Mr. Hart?
Yeah, it certainly seems like we're beating the index, as far as crime goes. I just wanted to clarify, I guess. So Operation Perfect Storm happened because you took the initiative to reach out to violent crimes in the gang unit and to try and do something special to address the issue.
Lieutenant Johnson and I,
You guys did.
we're constantly bouncing ideas off each other and trying to come up with. Neither one of us can sit still, and we're always trying to come up with ideas of what we can do. So that's a good
I
thing.
can see right now you guys are both
We're
standing.
never sitting still. So it's good. We go back and forth and bounce ideas, and then we're constantly bringing traffic. Hopefully you're seeing the motors. Has anybody got pulled over by the motors? Sorry.
One show of hands for those.
It's a good thing. We don't just bring them in to write traffic tickets. The reason we're bringing them in, we try to put them in the busy areas for crime. And you'd be surprised when there's motormen out running radar, the burglars go away, the robbers go away. That's what we're really trying to do. If you are speeding or running red lights and whatnot, sorry, shouldn't be doing that. That does kill people. But it's not to write you tickets per se. It's to keep lowering the crime. So we're always bouncing ideas off each other, and it's having a good effect.
I just want to say thank you and to also Lieutenant Johnson for that, because we hear from a lot of people in our communities, and mine especially, that they feel like that there are lots of things happening and that there's no special effort made by PBSO. And so, I just want to thank you for making that special effort and then for going that extra mile to communicate it to us, and, to the public, because it makes a difference in how people see their city. I do have a question about the Breaking the Cycle anti-gang recruitment program that you guys have running out of North and South Grade Elementary. Do you think in the future that you'll maybe be willing to add Highland to that list?
I would love to add the other two elementaries. I'd love
Barton,
Barton could
right.
use it, and Highland. It's a question of manpower and money, like everything else. Legoland partners with us and funds that, a good chunk of it, and the rest is funded by our charity golf tournament and a couple other things we do. And as we go, I'm hoping to add another school maybe next year, and then add another one, because I would love to. Barton could use it, Highland could use it. We initially chose South Grade, and you'll see Miss Hinson come in and present, and you'll know why. She's a huge advocate. And then North Grade we were working with on the anti-bullying, so it was just the logical next step. We already had relationships there, and we already had the system going, so we just combined the two. I would love to add the other two. It's going to come down to manpower and money. Nothing's impossible. We'll find a way to get it done.
Okay.
We may need to add a golfing tournament to the golfing tournament to see if we can raise it.
I don't know how much money that would make.
I would just add to the captain's comments. It's not just
Sorry.
it's not just the Lego trip and the actual building and class portion of it. Like the captain said, it's funds for food. We feed them breakfast, lunch, and dinner when we go. They each get a few dollars. I think it's $25 to get some sort of momentum from their trip. And these are things, as the captain pointed out, kid never been in a McDonald's before. These are opportunities that a lot of these kids would not have if it wasn't for this program. So I'd encourage any of you golfers, when our golf tournament comes out, please consider enrolling, or business owners. We are always looking for sponsorship. So.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And City Manager, did you have to add?
I just wanted to add that from the city staff side of the equation and working with the captain and the lieutenant, while they're with the sheriff's office, they're very much like our own police department, our police chief. And I've enjoyed working with both of you guys. I know my staff in coordinating better with code enforcement, the planning staff, and what you're seeing also from the city as we improve, a lot of the problems that you've grappled with for years in crime in the city, as people move in and bring their lives and make investments because of the changes you're seeing in the ordinances and the plans and the confidence that y'all have instilled, the two sides really complement each other. You would never arrest your way out of the problems that Lake Worth had. But conversely, you have to have a really good, strong law enforcement presence that's creative and innovative and coordinates with the city staff. And that's what's happening right now. We've had some misfires here and there, but I think right now y'all have added 5 new officers. We've got great coordination with the code division. We're seeing all kinds of things come forward, and that number reflects that. So I'm very upbeat and optimistic about the working relationship we have, and I can't thank the sheriff's office and the staff. You guys are stellar, and it makes a difference. Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, item 5C, presentation of the Lake Worth Rotary Club Awards.
Mr. President.
El Presidente.
El Presidente. El Jefe. El Jefe. He's back here in the hat. That's embarrassing.
Come on.
Anywhere. Okay, everyone, gather round. Today we pay tribute to Brian Ambrose. Where are you, Brian? One of our own. There you go. Before I hand you this, I'll give you a little background for those of you in our audience and at home. Brian is originally from Pittsburgh and, of course, is a Steelers fan. Don't hold that against him. But he moved to Florida in 1990. He's worked for the city for 14 years as the building maintenance mechanic and comes to work every day with the best attitude.
He does.
And I can totally confirm that. Anything he's asked to do, it gets done. He's an awesome team player. He never complains or gets frustrated, or at least he doesn't show it. Public Services Director Jamie Brown would like to acknowledge that Brian is a model employee and a huge asset to the Public Services Department. He has no issue stepping up to the plate as a supervisor when needed and never has any issue coming in after hours when called in for any facility issues. But last but not least, he is very worthy of this reward. And as we know Brian, he wouldn't want to be acknowledged, being he's so humble. He's always sharing a smile with everyone as he walks by, and we're so honored to present this. The Lake Worth Rotary Club awards a Paul Harris Fellow to Brian Ambrose as the City of Lake Worth 2017 Employee of the Year for demonstrating service above self, attitude in the performance of his duties.
Yes.
And this is for you.
Good job.
Thank you, Brian.
He's not talking.
Chris, get him over here. Couldn't get you all in that shot. Come over here. Can you line up right here?
Oh, really?
You're not done yet. Get over here.
All right, everybody pose mine.
I do want to acknowledge that the Lake Worth Rotary Club has been in existence since 1927. I thought we were the oldest institution until tonight. Apparently, Scott Maxwell.
That hurts.
At least you have the distinction.
Are you
of being
getting
an
in there?
institution.
That's right. Congrats.
Let me see. I have another.
Do you have another
Yeah,
one?
be another. Right.
Is there anyone here from
Yes, they're all
Yes.
here.
They're all here.
Give him a day off.
Congrats. Okay. As we get situated, item 5D, proclamation declaring the July 2017 as National Parks and Recreation Month. Anyone here to come?
That is a whole policy.
Come on, everybody.
Come on up.
Come on. Don't be shy.
I get one in this
I don't
one?
bite, I just hug.
Come on. One needs to come up too.
One needs
No?
to come up.
Get over here.
One.
It's all about that.
Okay, you guys ready? Whereas parks and recreation programs enhance our quality of life by contributing to a healthy lifestyle, community building, economic development, and environmental sustainability. And whereas parks and recreation programs boost the economy, attract new business, and increase tourism. And whereas Florida is home to more than 170 state parks, trails, and historic sites that inspire residents and visitors with recreational opportunities and scenic beauty. And whereas our parks and trails ensure ecological beauty, provide space to enjoy nature, help maintain clean air and water, preserve plant and animal wildlife. And whereas local, state, and national parks located within the state of Florida contribute to the overall quality of life enjoyed by residents and of visitors to our state. And whereas the National Recreation and Park Association and the Florida Recreation and Park Association designated July as Recreation and Parks Month. Now, therefore, I, Pam Triolo, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth, Florida, by the virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim July 2017 as National Parks and Recreation Month.
I just keep thinking of the TV show.
Angela, did you want to say anything?
No.
Thank you all. All right.
We lost the attorney.
You lost the attorney.
So now we can't
Somebody
do
find him.
anything?
Okay, moving on to commission liaison reports and comments. Commissioner Robinson, why don't you start us off?
Oh, all right, okay, I guess the raft race isn't old news, but Parrot Cove did apparently come in first. They had some strong muscle men, no dumbbells, and congratulations. So I think the raft race was a success. And all of 4th of July, thanks to Lauren and her staff. So that was great. Went to road meetings. And they're concerned about shade trees, bike paths, which is an ongoing conversation, lights, traffic calming, ongoing conversation. Looking forward to the new electric utilities manager. Went to the board meetings, and what I'm getting from them is not a frustration, but wanting more communication with staff. Of course, Sister Cities and Rec Board didn't meet, so I don't know if we're going to address that or not, but the tree board is sort of a silent, hardworking group that I appreciate. I appreciate all the volunteers that contribute to input. The electric utility board is conscientious and very helpful, I think. All these boards are helpful to the better quality of life in our town. What I did want to say about the leadership of our city, from the top to all the departments, and it trickles down. And Brian's an example. Henry's an example. From all the people, the leadership that comes from the top, and it's been effective. I think we could do better in communications all the way around. What I am sorry that all the citizens don't know all the work that is being put into the future of Lake Worth that isn't out there, and it sometimes shouldn't be out there, but there is a tremendous amount of work being done by staff that is going to lead us into the future, and I appreciate being a small part of it.
Thank you. I'm going to shake it up a bit today. Commissioner Hardy. I'm not going in order today.
I didn't bring a long list. I was trying to think about how many things that I go to since the last time we had a regular meeting, and it's a lot. So basically, the things that stick out to me are first of all, the work that this staff puts into the 4th of July stuff. This was my first time seeing it from the beginning to the end, and it's a gargantuan task, and I do not envy you guys who bring, they bring 2 changes of clothes, because it's the middle of July. It starts at the sun's zenith almost, 11 a.m. and it goes through that entire period and all the way through the fireworks. It's a thankless task. Thank you guys for doing that. I really appreciate it. The other thing is, as we get money into the city from different sources, but it seems to be, we're getting a lot of money all for the same thing, right? We just passed a road bond. That's $40 million. Next week, we'll have a discussion about our wish list for the penny sales tax. That could add up to $25 million for us over the next 10 years. We're about to get a lot of infrastructure money, and that got me to thinking a while back as to, we've been using our community development block grant money for a lot of the things that the neighborhood road bond is taken care of, along with our 2-inch water main replacement and things like that, along with what the penny sales tax might take care of. So I said, well, gosh, what are we going to be doing with our CDBG money going forward? So I've been having lots of meetings with staff about that, about how to think about our how we use our CDBG money going forward. And city manager was kind enough to set up a meeting with myself and Carlos Serrano, and who works at the county, who administrates the CDBG program at the county level, and we had a good discussion that was educational for me, and we got to bounce around some ideas, and I look forward to us having the opportunity to get a little bit more creative with our community development block grant going forward. I really look forward to that. That's basically all that I have. Oh, excuse me. Wednesday night, even if you don't live in the Sunset Ridge neighborhood, I'm going to be talking a little bit there, which is it's Wednesday, 7 p.m. at the Pavilion at Sunset Ridge Park. So it's closer to A Street. Please come if you have issues. The topic is going to be mostly basically what PBSO just did with Operation Perfect Storm, and for me to listen to some of the concerns that people have, especially if you live on or near Dixie Highway. I think that's really important. All right, so thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. I'll be brief. Actually, I want to parrot a couple of things that have already been said tonight. More specifically, it seems like everywhere I go, whether it's a neighborhood meeting or a business downtown, folks are starting to open up a little bit more. They're starting to be a little bit more willing to share the things that are going on in their daily lives and how that relates to what the city is doing. And I just continue to hear more and more accolades for the work that the city is doing in terms of individual staff members or efforts, team efforts to get things done in the city. And, I think we're onto something here. I think we've been after it for a long, long time. We've talked about the city being open for business. We've talked about, increasing our tax base and attracting new investors. We've talked about, turning our employees around and refocusing them on customer service. And I think we're starting to see the beginning of that coming to fruition. And if what we're seeing so far is an indication of what is going to be going on in the future, I think that Lake Worth is going to be a place that people are really want to come to and do business with. And I can't thank our staff, our employees enough for their work, their hard work. And the word future was mentioned earlier this evening. Look, a lot of the work that's being done is certainly focused on today, but there's an eye towards the future, because we can't just take it one day at a time. I think there was a time in City Hall not too long ago where we did take it one day at a time. It was just a fight for survival. And I think now we're starting to at least identify the corner that we have to turn, and we're starting to be a little bit more comfortable in our skin and our abilities and our vision of what we need to do. And I think we're becoming more adept at actually executing on that. And I'm very pleased to be a part of that, and I'm very pleased to be a part of this commission. And again, I cannot tell you how pleased I am to be a resident of Lake Worth. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Merso?
Well, I'm going to start by thanking staff also, but while you were all partying on boats, I was working with staff, and yes, staff does a great job, and there's only 3 of them here today, and I want to do a big call out to Silvio and Emmerich that are not here tonight, and thank them for all their work, and yes.
And the lifeguards.
And the lifeguards, although we ran the lifeguards in at the last minute thinking that they were going to help you win, we tried to do that, you still lost.
There was no helping us.
We didn't lose, we just didn't finish.
And like Commissioner Hardy said, changes of clothes, lots of baby powder, lots of cold towels dipped in the ice because it was bloody hot out there. But, it was a very successful event, like all our events in the city. So thank you for all your hard work. Moving on, attended the roundtable for Palm Beach County League of Cities, also attended their board meeting. A big thank you to the Palm Beach County League of Cities and their board. They appointed me to the Florida League of Cities, so thank you to the board and having the confidence in the work that I do, and it also, again, allows Lake Worth to be at the table on the Florida League of Cities level. Tomorrow is a huge day for Palm Beach County, and Lake Worth is going to be there. I know Commissioner Hardy is going to be there too. We're going to start in Wellington at 9 a.m. With a joint meeting with the Palm Beach County League of Cities and the county commissioners, talking about some of the things that affect the local level, working on home rule, trying to really hold on to home rule on so many different levels, and things that really are important for the cities, sober homes. So I'm looking forward to that conversation. From there, we go to the League of Women Voters in Atlantis for their luncheon, which their topic is sober homes. And then I will go from there to the Sober Home Task Force that I sit on. And from there, I'll be going to Dave Kerner's office, County Commissioner Dave Kerner, because we're still working on bringing the bus back to the beach. We're getting very close, so that's a great thing. Again, thank you for the CRA for facilitating that. Moving on with the CRA, a lot of great things are going on with the CRA. We're working on signage. I met with Emily. Emily and I work for the upcoming events. We start now for Halloween, Christmas, the tree lighting, so we're working on all that. Also this week, I got the chance to meet with our representative from the school board, Erica Whitfield. The big thing, she's going to come and talk to us soon, but the big thing we really need to focus on is attendance. Schools are down in Lake Worth with attendance, so we're going to try to figure out how we can build up the attendance. Some of our issues, I know the mayor's working on some issues in and around the schools. Barton has fallen below average again, one of the worst schools in Palm Beach County, so we need to work on that. They do have a new principal, which I'm very excited to have. We have a new principal at Lake Worth High School and a new principal at Highland, I believe. So we've got some new energy coming to Lake Worth, so I'm optimistic that we can continue to focus on our schools, focus on our children, and bring those numbers up.
Thank you. I was going to give you all the kudos in the world. I wanted to say that along with staff doing an amazing job on the 4th of July, I wanted to thank Vice Mayor Pro Tem Andy Amoroso. He's always on the ground, in the trenches. He's not playing with us up there on the raft, although that is a chore being up there on the raft every year. Now, I just want to say, because I haven't had a chance to disclose this to everybody at home, but that raft really was only meant to hold 4 people that we had. And there were 6 people on it. And I was going to jump ship when we were making our way from the launch over to where the starting line was. And then I thought, I'm going to jump off and I'm going to say, the mayor deserted the ship. And I thought, if this thing goes down, I'm going down with it. And I almost did. But we made it. We came in last place in our heat. But we crossed the finish line, and we were darn proud. Right there, Commissioner Robinson?
That's right.
We were darn proud we made it. For some reason, I don't know why, but our raft is always a monstrosity. The thing should have held 20 people. But, I mean, it was so huge. But so maybe we might want to be a little more svelte or a little more, I don't know.
department heads. next year.
sporty next year, so we can maybe even have a chance. I don't know. Or maybe we shouldn't even compete. We should just be the comic relief. Although I think we already are. All right. Thank you. I have MPO this Thursday, moving up the line of projects. When the vice mayor sat in for me last month, because they appointed me also to a special committee of the Metropolitan Planning Organization that I attend, which is deciding whether or not the MPO is going to be a standalone MPO like Broward, or if it's going to continue to be connected with the county. So there's been some discussion about whether or not what they're going to do. So they have chosen some of us from different municipalities to sit on that board and talk about the pros and cons to doing so. So when the vice mayor was there, he had apparently in the minutes had requested that it be moved up. I know we talked about it here at the commission meeting. I'm going to see if we can get those dollars moved up for the Park of Commerce and to see what happens. Speaking of which, I have an engagement with the governor in August in Tallahassee, so I can't wait to talk to him about all of these things. So I'm looking forward to that. And the Dixie Highway Corridor, lack of a better, multimodal study is happening July 22nd. Well, it's 3 days, actually, isn't it?
Well, it's this Saturday, the 22nd, at the Arts Center.
The Arts Center. Mm-hmm.
From 9 to 2.
Okay. And just so you know, we've been talking about improvements along the Dixie Highway Corridor. They are mainly about pedestrian, bike, mobility, green. Those are the types of things that will be addressed in this. As for the business approach to it, meaning what types of businesses locate there or what types of transitions we'll have to make to the Dixie Corridor, that's going to require future work. And I'll talk a little bit more of that in the future, but thank you for giving me that. Also, I wanted to take a chance. Where is Councilman Anderson to lose me? City of Green Acres, can you wave your hand? I wanted to do it in the introduction, but I wanted to thank you for joining us here at our Lake Worth meeting. Congratulations to you. And glad to have you as a neighbor and a friend in our community. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. Yes, and I really would like to bring up an ordinance that we should consider, which is that the city manager cannot take another vacation during 4th of July ever again in his lifetime here within the city.
Just because my pirating skills
He
are
abandoned
handy on
ship.
our app. So.
No, I'm putting it. You think I'm kidding? I am not. All right, moving on. Public participation of non-agenda items and consent agenda items. Remember, you have 3 minutes to speak instead of 2. We increased it a minute. So just remember that. So when I start to go, when I start to go, thank you. It's because the buzzer rang and its time is up. But you have an extra minute now. So just wanted to remind you of that. And please mention your name and your address before you speak. So we have that for the record. First up, Claire Miller, followed by Michael Bolduc. Welcome.
This suits me just fine. Everybody go all right?
Yes, perfect.
My name is Claire Miller. I live at 211 South J. And I'm here on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Palm Beach County. In June of this year, it was announced that our more than 600 members make the League of Women Voters of Palm Beach County the 3rd largest local league in the United States. We're also proud of our high level of activity in advocacy and voter service information. This summer, we are part of a large coalition that is gathering petitions to get a proposal on the ballot next year which would restore the voting rights of most felons. I have those petitions with me today and hope that all the people in the audience and on the council will sign a copy. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You can hand them out?
I will.
Yeah.
Yeah, please hand them out. Or if you'd like to give them to the city manager and he can distribute them, or you can hand them out in the room if you'd like.
And I'll collect them afterwards. There's an address at the bottom. Don't send it to them, give them to me because we vet them and make sure.
Thank you.
If you happen to have your voter registration card, make sure you sign it exactly the way you
Thank you, Michael Bolduc. Did I do that right? I knew you phonetically spelled it out for me, and I hope I didn't mess it up. I know I did the first time.
You did excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council, everyone. My name is Michael Bolduc, and I serve as the Board President for the National Disabled Veteran Business Council. We are a nationally recognized veteran service organization whose mission is focused on positive legislation for veterans in business. The NDVVC is the only veteran service organization in the state of Florida that serves veterans in business. Recently, I had the pleasure of meeting with two commissioners to discuss the City of Lake Worth's current procurement ordinances and the possibility of adopting the Florida State Law 295.187 as the City of West Palm Beach recently has. I emailed that out to everybody, so hopefully they got it. It included the language that we adopted from the Florida statute and what the City of West Palm Beach adopted and amended. The NDVVC is hosting our upcoming Veteran Business Conference in West Palm Beach on August 18th as an example of our outreach and advocacy for service-disabled veteran-owned businesses. One of the successful community benefit programs that the NDVVC has operated for the last 5 years was our Veteran Affordable Housing Program. This program and all of our other community benefit programs have been turned over to our sister organization, Veteran Community Resources, which I serve as their executive director. Being that VCR is a community housing development organization and a nonprofit organization, it's our desire to create a dialogue with the city to address blighted and vacant properties in Lake Worth and how we can assist in resolving these issues. We're looking forward to continued meetings and to include hopefully the city manager. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Joe Franklin, followed by Gary Pierce. Joe Franklin? No?
Right here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know I've gained weight, not lost weight, so it's easier to see now. But
I was looking that way. Sorry, I didn't see it.
that's okay. Usually they can pick me out of a crowd. All right. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Joe Franklin, 8470 Great Lakes Lane, West Palm Beach. Once again, my name is Joe Franklin. I serve Veteran Community Resources as their board president. Our not-for-profit is an approved state vendor for vocational rehabilitation as well as community housing development organization in West Palm Beach. I have served on several veteran charitable and veteran service organization board for more than 20 years. Over this time, I've been part of agencies that have created several empowerment programs that benefit our veteran community as well as the community at large. We hope to get our programs recognized by the City of Lake Worth as a point solution to today's maladies. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Gary?
Thank you. Mayor and Commissioners, my name is Gary Pierce, and I live at 120 North M Street here in Lake Worth. I'm the field superintendent or foreman that does the work for these homes that we try to reestablish some kind of residence back to them. That's what my position today is, to ask you to consider us. I've been very fortunate in working with other veterans as myself and we just did one over in Lantana, a home, put it back together, and it's important that I talk to a lot of different young men, and they're interested in how to be able to work with us. Some don't even want to be paid. They just want to work with the veterans on homes that would be beneficial to the veterans. And they're interested. But we have to have the projects to get the work done. And we have to be able to employ some people that have the skills to put the projects back together. I hope you'll work with us, and I'd love to be able to help you and work with here in Lake Worth. Less gas time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Peggy Fisher, followed by Tammy Panza.
Peggy Fisher, 508 North A Street. I would like to add my thanks to Commissioner Amoroso, who I saw working all during the 4th of July all the way to the end at 10:30, 11 o'clock. And so I think we need to recognize, in addition to staff, how much of his own time he provides to the city on that day. In the June 7th meeting, I came up here and talked about a whole list of dates which related to our casino building and the repairs that still have not been resolved at the casino building. They go all the way back to 2013. We've done extensions and extensions on the tolling agreement, the last one of which publicly that I've heard about expired on June 1st. So I'd like to know if we have a tolling agreement back in place. When is enough going to be enough? And the city is going to say to Morganti and REG that this is your final deadline to resolve the issues at the casino. I was in the budget workshop last week where the beach fund was talked about and is a major problem. And we need to solve the casino issues. No more going on, no more going on. The longer it goes on after this, it's on you all. Because we have to have a building that the residents know all the issues have been resolved. And we keep kicking the can down the road. And so I'm asking you all to bring this up, to put this on the agenda, to make it something that's important rather than just kicking it down the road. Because you talk about it, you sort of talk around it, but you don't ever put it on the agenda. So that's what I'm talking about. And again, I'd like to thank Commissioner Amoroso for everything he did on July 4th for this city. Thank you.
Tammy Panza?
Hi there, Tammy Panza, 116 North L. I second what Peggy said. I would love to have at least the pool be a subject of a line item on the budget for this coming year. I also wanted to suggest for CDBG funding, let's get some cameras downtown and in the immediate downtown area to help deal with the bike theft and all of the petty theft that's going on. Maybe help some people get arrested for selling drugs, and just that would be a really great use of CDBG funding if that's possible. I think it's neighborhood enhancing. Also, I wanted to see if I can get an update. I've noticed a lot of security down at Publix, and I heard that somebody might have told me that a letter got sent to Publix and maybe even BK across the street, and I wondered how has that been working? I've seen a lot of security over at Publix. I don't really look at Burger King very often. I try to avoid that area, and I wondered if I can get an update on that. Finally, I wanted to mention I volunteer with Paint Your Heart Out program. We paint homes for neighbors in need with volunteers and recycled paint from the SWA. We painted a house in Sunset Ridge this weekend, and this coming weekend and the following week, we have the really fine pleasure to be associated with Military Makeover, which will be filming in Osborne Estates, working from the 22nd to the 25th. We'll be painting a veteran's home, and there will be a lot of other things going on. There's a ton of community partners to get this done, and I would love you guys to stop by. We'll be publicizing the event, so you'll have the more definitive address coming up as we go, so stop in. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you all very, very much. Moving on, we have approval of the minutes. I'll entertain a motion. Moved by the Vice Mayor, second.
Seconded.
Seconded by Commissioner Hardy. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Seconded.
All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We're gonna move on to our new business. Did I miss anything? No. New business. Remember, item 12A, ordinance 2017-14 has been moved off the agenda. It will return onto the agenda because the person presenting it, I guess, was not able to be here, so it'll be moving to our August 1st commission meeting. So if you're here for that item on the agenda, that again has been moved to August 1st. Thank you. So our new item A is ordinance number 2017-15. City Attorney, would you read that for me, please?
Yes, ordinance number 2017-15 of the City of Lake Worth, Florida, amending Chapter 8 bicycles by removing the licensing requirement and revising the process for taking possession of abandoned bicycles, crime severability, the repeal of loss and conflict, codification, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second. Seconded. Okay. We have any public comment cards on that?
No, I believe so.
No. Do we have any questions for staff? Seeing there are none, we've got a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to ordinance number 2017-16. City Attorney? This is item,
Ordinance number 2017-16 is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Lake Worth, Florida, approving a residential plan development district, RPDD, known as Lake Cove Meritage Homes, located at 1728, 1730, 1732, and 1734 19th Avenue North, consisting of approximately 12.85 acres within the single-family zoning district, to construct a 59-unit single-family subdivision as more particularly described in Exhibit A, providing for development standards, providing for severability, conflicts, and an effective date.
okay, City Attorney, just before we do that, I just wanted to state that the company had arranged meetings to meet and to introduce themselves to city staff and inevitably to city officials. So I just didn't know what I needed to do at that time.
I just appreciate you disclosing that.
Okay.
And it looks like Commissioner Robinson is.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
I've also met with.
I think they met with all of them.
Yeah.
Did they meet with all of us? Okay.
Okay, I see you show of all hands. Every commissioner apparently has met with them and discussed
Okay.
about it.
I
Okay.
just wanted to make sure
Thank
that
you for
was on the
disclosing.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion on this.
So moved.
Moved by,
Second.
I've got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Hardy, a second by Commissioner Amoroso, and Vice Mayor, you were late. Okay.
You're getting old.
Here you go. Okay, do
100
we want to, let's
respect.
open it up. William, did you
Yeah.
want to,
I'll give a
do the
little brief
presentation?
overview, and our
Yes.
applicant is here as well, who has a short presentation. Again, William Waters, Community Sustainability Director. This is a fairly straightforward application. I will let you know that this is the first one of this type that we've had probably in at least 15 years, where we're creating a new subdivision for single-family homes. It is a 12-plus acre site. The map, most of you are familiar with it. It's very near Vernon Heights at the end of 19th Avenue North. The master plan that's proposed, not penguins. And I realized at our last meeting that our clicker, here we go. 19th Avenue North is down here. And they have taken the property and are proposing 59 units. There's a variety of homes in both 1 and 2 stories. The RPD, which is proposed residential plan development, does allow them to deviate from the standard requirements of a single-family residential district. In this neighborhood, they're going to be 50-foot lots and 40-foot lots. All the other parameters of that zoning district do apply. They are asking for deviation also when it comes to FAR, but based on the overall property size, the total combined FAR of the property does not exceed what would be allowed under the code. There is a proposed development agreement that will be coming to you probably after second reading that deals with some infrastructure improvements. And there are some conditions of approval which will deal with the FAR, which will come back to you when you come to second reading. There are a variety of floor plans which the developer will go through. It was brought to my attention that one concern that was raised was that in the illustrations, all the garage doors are the same. So we'll ask the applicant to maybe address that before you, because that question came up to me today. And I'll turn it over to Kimley Horn and the representatives. Do you have your PowerPoint already in here? Okay, there we go.
welcome.
Okay.
That's it. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the commission. Mark Rickards, 1615 South Congress, Delray Beach, Florida. Here on behalf of the property owner and the contract purchaser. And I'm just going to run through a few things on the project that help probably frame it for the commission and members of the public. The property lies south of the canal here, which is the north border of the city of Lake Worth. And I think it's important to frame it in reference to how folks get to the project. So you have South Dixie Highway to the far east and A Street, both running north-south. And then you have 22nd Avenue North and 19th Avenue North that are really your east-west corridors. There, 22nd going through the ball fields on the way to the project. That's the site, which has remained vacant for many years. In fact, the engineer of record who's here tonight, Mike Spruce, has looked at it for a few different folks who ended up passing on it. Happy to see it move forward tonight to a development plan and pursuing a vote. This is the proposed subdivision, which will come in front of you again as part of second reading, but also as part of a proposed plat. Again, here's these access points that I was talking about being A Street, 22nd Avenue, and 19th. When we first brought the project forward to the neighborhood association, we were talking about one access point. Heard the residents at Vernon Heights loud and clear about wanting two access points, and more specifically an access point from 19th Avenue North. We provided that, which really becomes the most convenient way to get to the project. And just wanted to point out, in terms of relating our project to Vernon Heights, we have a lake feature along the north property line, and we've taken care not to put the backs of our proposed lots to the backs of Vernon Heights, if that makes sense. So essentially you'll have a view along the border there, which is a walking path. It's really an alley between the projects that can overlook the lake, as well as a few of the side lots on the project. This is a better view of the project. These are the residential lots, and that's of course the lake. That's maybe a better way of picturing it. I really just wanted to point out, and that's the alley that runs between Vernon Heights and Lake Cove. I really just wanted to point out a couple things in the code. The project has an underlying zoning designation of single-family residential, which is 7 units an acre. We're not changing that. We're not asking for any increase in density. If we were to maximize it, that would be 89 units. We're not asking for 89 units. But the base code regulations have a width of 75 feet, which we are asking for some flexibility on. What follows from that flexibility is a couple other things in the property development regulations, but our density is 59 units instead of 89, and we're asking for, and I should add FAR to that list. On our smaller lots, we're asking for some flexibility, obviously on lot width and lot area. Our lot coverage also varies, and on the larger homes, the FAR is slightly over what would be allowed in the single-family residential base district. The RPD allows for this flexibility. I just want to be clear about the fact that we're asking for that. Finally, I just wanted to say thanks. We're excited to have a single-family project east of 95 in Lake Worth, in the northern part of the city. Respectfully ask for a vote of approval tonight, and we have representative from Heritage Homes here, as well as the engineer of record, if there are questions toward that end. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Marcel?
I just wanted to say, I did meet with you, so I'm familiar with the project. I just wanted to say thank you for investing in Lake Worth and looking at us, and I can probably talk on behalf of the neighborhoods and the residents in that area. This has been a blighted dumping area for so many years. And, we embrace the idea of new home ownership, a new tax base. I know you're doing some extra bells and whistles for the neighborhood in that area, some street calming. So, we thank you for everything, and thank you for investing in the city of Lake Worth.
Commissioner Hardy?
Yeah, I just wanted to echo those comments. The first time that I actually heard of this, I got a phone call from Carla Bloxon, who's very active in that area. She's been living in that area for a while. To come to a meeting at the Scottish Rite, and Dante was there along with Mark and the engineer. And you know, I have to say there were some differences between Meritage and the members of the Vernon Heights neighborhood. But what we saw over the ensuing weeks was that basically, you know, those issues were resolved, and that's in no small part due to the willingness of Meritage to make some compromises, and also on the part of Tina and you know, the rest of their board there to really talk with their neighbors. And it was an extensive effort on the part of Tina to corral her neighbors to get support for this project. It's something that I support. As Andy said, this area has basically been a dump. It's been a dumping site for years and years and years, and a huge missed opportunity for the city. And I think it would send a wonderful message if we got unanimous approval for what they're seeking here. And you know, I'm very, very excited to see this kind of development happen, not only in Lake Worth, but also in my district. So, yeah.
Let's go to public comment. Are there any other public comment?
If I just may, Dante Fragari, Meritage Homes, 1127 Gateway Boulevard, Boynton Beach. I just wanted to say that, you know, there's a lot of folks that have a lot of time invested in this project. I've been working on this thing for close to a year before I even brought it to the staff. I want to just commend the staff for making themselves available anytime that I've ever called for a meeting and needed any information. Our consultants, you know, constantly, you know, just trying to find out more information, do their due diligence and making sure that we had the highest and best information, so this way they can relay it back. But multiple meetings, communication, just wanted to applaud them. I wish that, I work all over the state, so I wish that there was a lot of other municipalities that the staff was as accommodating as they are here. And we're, you know, certainly excited about this project, and certainly looking at some other opportunities within the city of Lake Worth. And so hopefully, you know, we can do some future projects here. And I think that you're really going to like this project. I know that all our folks at Meritage, our corporate office, are very excited about this. And you know, again, we're not new to the marketplace. We're, you know, one of the country's top 10 builders. This is our third project in South Florida that we're going to be constructing and developing. But we're just excited, and we're just ready to go. I also wanted to thank Tina Kazara, the president of the Neighborhood Association. You know, as Commissioner said, yeah, the first meeting was a little rough there. But you know something, it's just the price of doing business, you know. And like my opening statement at that meeting is that we want to be good neighbors. This meeting was not required. However, we want to do this. We want to put this meeting on. I had our consultants there. The folks from the city staff were there, as well as Commissioner, you know, Hardy was there. And there was a pretty good turnout. Yeah, it wasn't pleasant, but you know something, we took notes, we took a list, we sat down, we went back over it and revised the plan. But I know that I always tease Tina. I says, you know, she probably does it for the pay and all the great benefits that she has. But I can tell you that she has done a very good service to the folks that she serves in her community, as well as, I mean, we've not always agreed on things, but you know, we've always found common ground and been able to work through the issues. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I certainly appreciate everything that everyone, how welcome we feel here. So thank you again.
Thank you. You got Commissioner Arlenson?
I just wanted to, I met with Dante, and I want to thank you for investing in Lake Worth as well, and the importance of the neighborhoods, and the importance of you communicating to them is great.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just it's just the thing that we do.
Can you give us an idea of the purport? You have 5 different models.
Yeah, we at this point right now we have 5 that we've slated, 5 different product types that we're going to be offering.
Can you give us an idea of are you going to divide? I mean, proportionately, 5 models are going to be 10 each, or
no? So basically, it's going to be buyer driven. We're going to offer 5 different product types, and then depending upon the buyer, they're going to, you know, decide whether they like a 2-story house versus a single-story house. I think that we've really refined this product. We've got some you know, new options and alternatives that we're going to offer with this product type. I think it's going to be pretty exciting. I know that you know, we're going to we'll build one model home. We're going to build some what we call spec homes. So what we'll do is we'll take out of the 5 that we offer, we'll probably build maybe 8 of each and every one of the floor plans itself. But then at the end of the day, it's going to be buyer driven on, some folks want a single family home, some folks want a 2-story with the master down, some want all the bedrooms up, upstairs. And so it'll be buyer driven, but we're going to offer a variety of different product types.
And I'm glad that you're working with the department as well as they're working with you. And I hope you take their suggestions on the garage doors.
Absolutely.
Can
Yes.
we have an assurance of that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we have been. I mean,
I want
unless
to
there's
see more
something
than
I'm
one,
not aware of.
more than one different garage door.
What's that?
I said the garage doors,
So-
being as tight as they are, that's
Yeah, so the
significant.
thing with the illustration is that the one thing that it didn't do is that the garage, that each one of the homes are gonna have different color schemes and all, so the garage doors will, although the same model, will have different colors.
We'll talk more after the meeting.
Okay.
You'll figure that
we'll
out.
talk
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Hardy.
So we've got 5 different models, basically, or products that
Product
you're
types.
that you're going to be selling. And can you give me?
One at a time, folks. Please, I can't hear.
So you've got 5 different product types for this development. Could you give the public, I guess, an estimate as to what you expect to be able to sell these
Price
for?
point. So price point again is going to be buyer driven because there's options, but everything that our market study comes back with is going to be like from the low mid 300s up to 400s. And so obviously if a buyer comes in and wants to do multiple type of upgrades on the interior part of their house or the exterior part of the house, if they want to build a pool, if they want to do a third car, bolt-on garage, or if they wanted to do if it's a 2-car garage, do what we call a bump out. So again, buyer driven, but the baseline is within that price range that I just named.
And that, for those who are watching, and for those who are up here, I consider that to be extremely important. When we talk about the places that we would like to stimulate some more development, the first thing that Mark put in his presentation when he was trying to show everybody where this development was, he put the C-51 canal up there, which is important, especially as we go forward with the Blue Ridge Trails project. And then he also highlighted Dixie Highway, which is an area that has been of concern to us. And basically, if you own a piece of property and the public is clamoring for you to invest in this piece of property or to do something with it, you're going to think about what's the income of the people who are living around the property that I own. And part of the problem, not just for property owners on Dixie Highway within Lake Worth, but also north of us, is that when those property owners put that pin in the middle of the paper and draw that radius, we don't have the income in Lake Worth to justify the investment that a lot of people want. So this is something that I think is going to make Dixie Highway an area that's more ripe for development, and another reason why I think this is a really, really important development for us.
Okay, great. Peggy Fisher, I want to make sure we have time for public comment. Peggy Fisher, followed by Greg Rice.
Peggy Fisher, 508 North A Street. I'm excited about the new development and the new homes, but with that comes traffic. And I live on the south side of 10th Avenue and on North A Street. And I am up here to ask the city to please work with the county regarding the intersection of North A Street and 10th Avenue. It is in the morning very difficult to turn left onto 10th Avenue going westbound from North A Street on the south side because of the traffic coming south on North A. There is no turn signal, special turn signal, and with more people living on the north side of 10th Avenue, I would please ask the city to contact the county and work together, because 10th Avenue is a county road, to address the issues. I mean, this is an issue for those people who are coming on the south side, and since it has become de facto a truck route, with buses and semi-trailers going up 10th Avenue, North A Street to 10th Avenue, it makes it even more difficult. So I welcome the development, and I ask the city to work on the traffic issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Greg Rice?
Excuse me. Greg Rice, 511 Lucerne Avenue. I too would like to echo Commissioner Hardy's request to the board that you guys do approve this unanimously. I sit on the Planning and Zoning Board, and the first time these guys came before us, there were some unanswered questions, and one of them being just how far along have they gotten with the neighborhoods that surround that area. And there was still concerns and questions that were asked of me outside the meeting, of course, from concerned residents about the traffic and everything else that goes along with anything new coming into town. And we as a board, the Planning and Zoning Board, urged him to go back to the neighborhoods and get more input and feedback from them. And in today's market, if you're trying to build anything now, the prices are going up as far as materials. But they took the time, obviously at their expense, because the price of concrete, wood, trusses, and everything else are continuing to rise, to listen to what the neighbors wanted. And I think they got a lot about what they wanted. I'm sure they did. And the neighborhood was well organized. They came and spoke in unison, but they didn't have everybody go up and speak. They had a spokesperson that kind of did all the heavy lifting for them, and she did a great job on their behalf. And so, please, this is important. A new single-family home development east of I-95 in the city of Lake Worth is just a coup d'etat for us. I think it's going to send signals and messages across the county to other groups and developers and things to at least come and give Lake Worth a second look, because we've got such a reputation at times being a little more difficult to work with. So we want to please, I hope this is unanimous vote, on behalf of all of you up here, for the benefit not only of the new folks that are going to be moving into the area, but for the whole city at large. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hardy?
Yeah, I'm sorry, just one last thing. That first meeting that I attended with Tina and Carla and all the other members of the Vernon Heights neighborhood, you have to kind of understand the dynamic to understand just how far we've come, I think, as a city. If you look at Vernon Heights, and I think Tina's...
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have a card, Tina? Sorry, I didn't get the card, but please come up here.
Okay.
I was wondering if you were going to come up and speak. Yeah. You want to finish while she comes?
Sure. The neighborhood was very apprehensive about this new development for a few reasons. But if you look at Vernon Heights is basically a cul-de-sac of a neighborhood, and they were very concerned about traffic. And it took a lot of work for Tina to get with her neighbors to help them see the bigger picture, and it took some compromise from Dante to add up to open up that second opening to the development. That kind of stuff, I think, shows the growth and maturity of the city, quite frankly, and also speaks to the maturity and rationality and the big picture orientation that the folks up in Vernon Heights have. So I just wanted to thank you guys again, because that's without their neighborhood support, this project would be nowhere, frankly. They deserve a lot of the credit.
Tina?
Hi, my name is Tina Casaza. I live at 1827 Pierce Drive, Lake Worth. I have lived in and around the city of Lake Worth for longer than some of you are alive. Almost as long as Scott. I live in Vernon Heights, and we're very excited. I have to say thank you to the city. I have to say thank you to Meritage Homes. They were very professional. They were willing to work with us. They listened to our concerns from the very first meeting, where our residents showed up and told them, we don't want this to be your main entrance, or we want you to work with us. And they have every step of the way. And I'm looking forward to the positive effects that it's going to have on the city and as a whole, and in our neighborhood. We appreciate the fact that they put the lake in, so none of our residents are immediately affected by having somebody backed up to their house after so many years of not having anybody back there. So I just wanted to say that we're looking forward to having some new neighbors, and we look forward to the project. And I appreciate Commissioner Hardy's work with us, because he was also effective in helping us have a better idea, and he came out and listened to the neighbors himself at a separate meeting. And I just think it's been a process, and was very difficult to have everybody look at the big picture, but that's really what we all have to look at. And I appreciate everything that everybody on the city commission does for all of us here in the city of Lake Worth, and the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I just wanted to take a moment to say I'm very excited about the project too. I was very impressed. First of all, having been here for so long and watching as changes happen, I couldn't agree with Commissioner Hardy more in reference to, where we were and where we're going. The most important thing is you reached out to the community. And you didn't wait to do that until you got a reaction. You did it immediately before you did. And that was a good thing to do because that's kind of the way we work around here. We want, we're not, we want things to improve and to grow in the right way, but we also want to protect our homes and our neighborhoods and our families and our kids and our dogs and our everything else that, walk through those neighborhoods and cross those streets. And change is a little hard for us here in Lake Worth, but we're getting better at it every day as long as it doesn't change the very fabric of who we are. And that's really important for us. So I want to thank you for working with the community. I want to thank Commissioner Hardy and to any of staff that worked with you to do this. I'm very excited about it. As we as a community grow, we all know, and I'm not bringing gloom and doom about it, but we've got an additional $25,000 homestead exemption that's going to be coming our way shortly. And with that said, as we try to build up our tax base so we can eventually lower our taxes here in the city and provide better value to our residents and business owners, we've got our hands tied behind our back. So having a community with this many new residents in paying into that tax base helps us to subsidize our community a little bit and help to be able to continue to improve services and amenities and offer good tax rates for our citizens as we grow. So it's really important. I'm very proud of everyone that's been involved in it, and I'm excited to see it happen on the north end of town, close to me, I'm right across Dixie. I'm on the federal side, but I'm very, very happy. That was a blighted area for an awfully long time, and seeing it turn into a family-friendly, new neighborhood is exciting for the first time in a long time having a community like that. So thank you very much. I'm going to call the vote on this. I don't entertain a motion.
So moved.
Seconded.
I withdraw the motion. Let Commissioner Hardy make the motion.
So moved.
I'll second it.
You'll second it? Okay. Any more public comment cards? Seeing there none, all those in favor state so by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed?
We had a
We
motion
already
on the
had it.
phone.
Oh, we had.
Hardy, Commissioner Hardy made the first motion and Commissioner Amoroso seconded the motion.
That's where I was late on that one.
Oh, right.
You were
We
late on
did.
that one.
So we're good.
I'm sorry, if you now can take the vote.
All right, we've got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Hardy and seconded by Commissioner Amoroso. Sorry, Vice Mayor. All
No
those in
problem.
favor state so by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Thank you very much for correcting that, City Clerk. All
Thank you.
motion carries unanimously. All right, we are going to move on to, let's take a quick break and then we'll come right back. Quick break. Talk amongst yourselves.
You were asked the question.
Would like to resume the meeting.
I lost 6.8 pounds this week.
Think about the beach facility.
The mics are on.
You know, that's the question.
Is this
What's that? Okay.
What are you doing?
I'm looking forward to it.
That was the shortest 20 minutes I've ever had.
Good.
What's that? I can't tell time?
It's in the wording.
Are you ready to resume?
I'm ready to resume.
I'm recording. I didn't say anything at
City
all.
Clerk, are we live?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we are live.
Thank you. Let's resume this Tuesday, July 18th, City Commission meeting with item number 12D, ordinance number 2017-12. City Attorney, would you read the ordinance, please?
With pleasure, Madam Mayor. Ordinance number 2017-12 of the City of Lake Worth, Florida, amending Chapter 2 Administration, Article 19, Chronic Nuisance Property Code, Division 1, Chronic Nuisance Services by updating the ordinance to provide for additional violations relating to overdosing and code enforcement, posting notices, entering into agreements with property owners, and additional penalties, providing for severability, the repeal of laws in conflict, codification, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
We have public comment cards. Lori Whitkin, followed by Gary. I'm sorry, I can't read that. What W-E something. Is there Gary here? No. Okay. Welcome.
Yes, hi, Lori Whitkin, North Lakeside Drive. I'm a little concerned about this ordinance that people may be hesitant to get medical attention if they think there's going to be any sort of repercussions about their property. Or somebody, not so much the person who's ODing, because they probably aren't in a position, but who's ever taking care of them, like a manager of a place. They say, oh no, we already had one this month, we have another one, we could be out of business. I understand you're trying to do something about the problem here, and it is a problem, and that's a good thing that you're trying to work on it, but to sort of penalize getting medical attention to somebody is, I don't think, the way to go about this. I particularly noted that chart that Captain Bear had up about how many ODs we've had. And what struck me is that most people survive. And I'm assuming that's because the EMTs came and they gave them that Narcan or whatever. And I'd hate to see those proportions go the other way because they didn't get medical attention when they needed it. And that's, if there's a way to do this so you can be sure that they will still get their medical attention, and people like their roommates or whoever don't say, oh no, we can't call, let's just move this person, or let's just hope they get better on their own, and then it's too late. And, I can understand where you're trying to also look at things for the nuisance about, if there's arrests or sales of drugs, and that I have no problem with. It's just this people saying, should we, just even thinking like, well, should we really call, or do we really need to? We really want, if somebody's in danger of dying from an overdose, call 911 and get help right away. And that's what I'm concerned, because word's gonna get out about this. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. City Attorney, can you shed some light on that?
Well, the fact that someone is overdosing, I think the general human reaction is you're going to call for help. I don't know that people are going to stop and think about, oh, I've had one on my property already, and there is discretion. But the point is to help the people who are having overdoses, get them into recovery, and not have them be repeat, and not have properties, which I forget the list with Captain Bear, but we have properties that are repeat. And obviously, that's not a good thing. That's not good for the individual who's suffering. It's not good for the property owner. It's not good for the neighborhood. So the concept was to, get treatment for people, but you don't want to have the same location being a treatment, an overdose haven again and again and again. And, you know, there is discretion with the city moving forward. I know from talking to Captain Bear and William, you know, our intention is to address the worst first and deal with the properties where there's a high number of these overdoses and work our way down the list.
Commissioner Amoroso?
Well, because I work with this on a regular basis. So the houses, first of all, you know, they have Narcan in the houses. I think my biggest problem is you have a drug treatment center, sober home, halfway house, whatever you want to call it, with people ODing on the property where they're supposed to be getting help. There's a big issue. The people that are usually running these homes and or own these homes, most of the time they're not on property. You know, it's run by a housemate. And the first thing, like the attorney said, the first thing they're going to do is call 911. They're gonna try to get assistance. I'm hoping that this will, you know, help in some form with patient dumping. We're still getting patient dumping, finding them in and around other locations. And you know, again, we talk a lot about tools in our toolbox. This is a tool in the toolbox that hopefully will, you know, I don't agree with, you know, losing lives. I think we're going to save more lives. And at the end of the day, if there are drugs on the property and they are ODing on property, somebody's not doing their job. And the calls to service, the chronic nuisance that we're already dealing with, again, these people are not, 90% of them are not licensed. They don't have business license. They're not paying taxes. They're in essence doing a business, but they're not paying the calls to service. And you know, I had a family was up all night because there was a call, an OD next door to their home, and their little girl was devastated. And she said, you know, I couldn't send her to school the next day, and it was multiple days trying to explain to her why there were so many people next door and why they were taking somebody out in a stretcher. And you know, it's not just the simple things we see; it's the impact of what is the entire neighborhood.
Commissioner Robinson?
I appreciate Laurie's concern because we want everybody to be treated, but it brings to mind the concern or possibility of immigrant documentation and the happenings that they are afraid of for the same type of fear of being recognized, that they won't get the service that immigrants that are undocumented won't get. That's all. The ordinance does say that it's not public until a certain number of times, right? So.
Could you, City Attorney, could you?
I wouldn't say it's not public, but it's not cause to be declared a chronic nuisance until you have a certain number of calls in a certain period of time. Right, right. So one time is not going to trigger it, but if it's repeated, then it could be considered a chronic nuisance, and there'll be a process to have a hearing and make that determination.
Commissioner Hardy?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have Good Samaritan laws for a reason, right? Basically, we don't want people to fear the consequences of them calling for help in the event of an overdose. And so we passed laws to say that if you've called for help because your friend or someone with whom you may have been using drugs with, or you know who was using drugs under your roof has overdosed, we're going to treat that person, and we're not going to charge you with any of the crimes, associated with drug paraphernalia and things like that, right? And so, the whole point of that is to not discourage people from getting help when they know that someone needs it. And I understand, what Laurie said. I do think that at the margin, this may affect the behavior of individuals who might understand that this ordinance is in effect and who might be counting the number of times in which someone has had an overdose potentially on their property, and that might affect their behavior. I acknowledge that as a risk. On the other hand, there are a lot of people living in this city who are seeking relief from what is a not just a problem from a social misery standpoint, but from a quality of life standpoint. 692, was it 592 overdoses within the last 12 months? When you subtract the golf course, that's like more than 100 overdoses per square mile here in this city. And to some extent, these overdoses are occurring because there are places within our city, and I'm thinking about motels. I'm thinking about other places. There are places in this city wherein people have been able to use drugs with a wink and a nod from the people who own these facilities, who have become rent dependent and are dependent on revenue that comes into their facility from people who they know aren't doing any good to the community, for the community, and who are in fact potentially bringing the community down. And so this ordinance, while I understand has some negative potential impacts on human behavior, I think it's necessary given where we are at this moment in this crisis, which is not unique to us. It's not even unique to this county or state. It's happening nationwide, and it's just happening really intensely in this county and in this city. And so we have to do something to chip away at it. And I feel you, Laurie, and I hope that this isn't going to have too large an impact on human behavior. But at the end of the day, I think we have to serve the larger public. These are the trade-offs that you make when you govern.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you. Something I don't think that we've ever really spoken about, I don't think from the dais regarding the overdose issues. Well, yes, there may be a chilling effect for some unscrupulous, insensitive individuals. I think most people are going to do the right thing at the end of the day. I think they're going to, rethink their business model. But there were a lot of folks, from what I understand, in talking to the sheriff's office and talking to fire rescue, that, let's just say, to have an overdose is not that big a deal. They're calling 911 before they overdose and saying, hey, I'm going to overdose. Can you stop by in like 15 minutes? That's how cavalier this whole thing seems to be. And, you've heard the expression, desperate times call for desperate measures. I don't know if this is a desperate measure, but I certainly think it's something that we need to give a try to. And there are legal ramifications. There are severe legal ramifications for anybody who would turn their head or who would, not do what they should be doing under those circumstances. So, I support this, and, it's a bit, could be a bit controversial, but I think it's the right thing for us to do.
If I may ask the city manager and the city attorney, I understand the ACLU has been pretty active in some cases suing cities for their chronic nuisance abatement ordinances and the way that they go about doing things. Have we reached out to people who have legal backgrounds who maybe have a different mind than we are on this issue?
I mean, we've looked at cases that the ACLU and others have brought. We think this is going to withstand any challenge. We've not gotten any feedback from them. I've actually represented the ACLU in years past, so I have a relationship with the local folks from the ACLU, and usually, and so does Brian in our office and Christy in our office. I mean, a lot of us have a good relationship with them. So if there's a concern, we'll hear about it, and we haven't heard anything.
Okay.
And I don't, from analyzing it, we're not doing anything that really impinges anybody's civil rights. It's really driven by trying to, A, serve the community, and B, help the individuals who are overdosing and preventing and save lives. Exactly. The whole key to this is trying to save lives by avoiding these nests of just a continual cycle of overdose, Narcan, overdose, Narcan. And as Vice Mayor Maxwell said, people are calling even before they overdose because they want to get revived so they can get that next high, a couple hours later. And it's a shame. So.
And also to add to that, I know that our attorneys worked with the sheriff's office attorneys when this was first crafted, and there were many discussions about the Good Samaritan law and such.
Okay.
So those issues were resolved. I don't know if to their complete satisfaction, but it was vetted, and I think that's what you're asking.
Yes, I would ask the same question too. I would say, I agree with you too, in reference to that. I mean, my first concern is the person. Are they going to get the help that they want? I kind of mentioned earlier when we talked about the prostitution issues with Captain Bear, how West Palm does a sting and then they come to Lake Worth, and Lantana does and they come to Lake Worth. We've been juggling this for the longest time. we're going to be seeing, because of the Sober Home Task Force and some other things, we're watching as Boynton Beach and Delray Beach especially have put some new, nuisance abatement and some new, rules into effect. It's a challenging time because we're making history, not just us in Lake Worth, but other communities as well as we try to combat this. And I agree with you too. You wouldn't want to deter anyone from calling. The problem is that something that what the vice mayor started to mention, the unscrupulous sober homes. First of all, there's sober homes in a classification with group home. Group home could be a group home for the blind. Group home could be a group home of any kind. If you're a sober home, that means there's no drugs on the premises.
Okay.
Well, that's the only way they can get that classification, and that's why they have the abilities and the advantages that they have over other forms of homes and whatnot, and why they have special rules and regulations that apply to them specifically, because they are a sober home. With drug use in play, I mean, that sort of violates the whole process of being sober home. And again, I know this is an epidemic that we're looking at right now. This isn't, I haven't watched people shoot up under my building. I've seen it. I'm troubled tremendously by it. But we're gonna have to test out things and feel the water a little bit. And maybe come back and revisit things as we start to learn how they go through the processes. I'm encouraged that you've reached out to the ACLU. Always important for me to make sure that we're not violating anyone's rights, but we have to take some steps here because we're starting now as a community to fall behind a little bit in taking some action to help prevent some of these things, and we don't want to be the basis they start to move out of those communities again. Here we are, many of our motels and apartment complexes and stuff have become centers for this kind of activity, and we need the management to step up. And I know that they can't be mind readers and swamis and gurus, to know exactly who, what, when, where, and how, but there are also professional practices that can take place that we can try to create. Many of these, these sober homes or these motels or lodges or whatever they are, they all back up to residential properties. We've got our families and our kids and our, living next to these homes. You know what I mean? And we've got these situations happening there. So I'm going to support this because it's a step that we can take, and we have to start taking some steps to make sure that that our people are protected. But I also would encourage, if there's any leeway, that it's handled on a case by case basis, in that we're not trying to bring a hammer down on institutions that don't know, but we're simply trying to bring a hammer down on the institutions that know exactly what's going on in their facilities. That would be my comment. All right, we've got a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, and thank you for that. I appreciate you bringing that to the table. Okay, item 12E, ordinance number 2017-17, City Attorney.
Ordinance number 2017-17 of the City of Lake Worth, Florida, amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 7, Abatement of Nuisances, by including within the definition of a public nuisance a pattern of nuisance activity as defined in the city's chronic nuisance property code, and by clarifying when a property may be taken to a special magistrate hearing for nuisance abatement, providing for severability, the repeal of laws and conflict, codification, and an effective date.
This is in conjunction with that. correct?
Yes, that's a companion.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Do we have any public comment cards?
No, ma'am.
Seeing there are none, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item F, ordinance number 2017-18, City Attorney.
Ordinance number 2017-18 of the City of Lake Worth, Florida, amending Chapter 14, Business Tax Receipts and Business Regulations, Article 1, Local Business Tax Receipt, BTR, and Article 2, Use and Occupancy Certificate, and the General Regulation of Businesses, Professions, or Occupations, by adding a provision requiring a business license for all businesses seeking to obtain utility service. Amending Article 2, Use and Occupancy Certificate, and the General Regulation of Business, Professions, or Occupations, by adding language with regards to inspection warrants, and for other purposes, providing for codification, conflicts, severability, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Amoroso. Any public comment cards? Commissioner Amoroso?
William, just for clarity, tell us a little bit how this works, that, explain to us that, in order to get your electric turned on, you actually have to have a business license. Because some of that's not happening quite that way now.
Well, you passed a resolution back in March that stipulates that prior to utilities being turned on, they check to see whether there's a business license in play or not. And if there's not, they can turn the electricity on, but they have 45 days for the property owner or the tenant to obtain the required business license, which has its three parts. The business tax receipt, the certificate of use, and then also the inspection. That seems to be working okay. We're getting ready to send you a list of about, I think it's almost 30 entities that are at the cusp of 45 days or just over it, where they stand to lose their utilities to be turned off under that resolution. It has not worked, I guess, as best as well as we would like, because then once you're in a location, you're kind of in a location. The difference with the ordinance you have before you now, it's actual ordinance. It requires that when someone comes forward to apply for utility service, let's say it's a residential tenant, there has to be on record a business license for the property owner to be able to lease that property out. Keep in mind that the responsibility for the business license is on the property owner, not the tenant, the residential tenant. The other version is on the commercial licenses. There are two licenses in most respects that have to be in place for a commercial rental. Let's say you're a hardware store renting a space on Dixie Highway. There has to be a business license for the property owner to lease the property out, and there has to be a business license for the hardware store owner. If the hardware store owner comes in, they're going to be checking to make sure that both pieces are in place. That in that scenario, the tenant has a responsibility of getting their business license, but again, the property owner has to get theirs. We have a lot of commercial tenants that have their business license, but the property owners don't. And in this case, until you can go through the process and have your business license issued, the utilities cannot be turned on, and that actually includes everything associated with our utility, which would be electric, water, sewer, the whole thing.
And internally, how is that working with staff? So if I'm a utility employee, how would I identify if they have a business license or not?
Our SunGuard Novaline system is all run off of a LAN file. So every property has a partial control number as well as an address. They can look that up, and every active business license in the city is in that system. If they have a question about some of them are a little bit odd because there's multiple business licenses at the same location, they can always call over to our office or send an email, and we'll confirm whether or not there's actually a business license in play.
And if I apply for my business license today, I come down and pay for my business license, how fast will that be in Navaline? Because I might want to apply for my business license today and go down and get my utilities turned on, but that might not be in the system yet.
Well, there's a little bit more than just applying for it. Okay. This ordinance stipulates that the business license must be issued, not just applied for, because we have several hundred businesses or entities that have applied for a business license and never bothered to finish the process. They've never had their inspection. They've actually failed their inspection and haven't called us back. Many of them are going into co-compliance. So the business license application process can take as long as 5 days to 10 days, depending on how fast we can get the inspection scheduled. And then you must pass your inspection. If you do not pass your inspection, your business license isn't issued.
So I have a business license, I have my inspection. Have we cleaned up the process where we're only printing licenses one time a month? Because that's been an issue in the past where we have a business owner, they've paid for it, they've done their inspection, but they're still waiting for a business license. Specifically, somebody wanted to get Lotto and they had to show that business license and to get Lotto, but the response was we're only printing those once a month. Have we cleaned that up, or can we clean that up?
We can't, and we have a fee that if you wanted to have it printed out of cycle, you can pay that fee. I think it's $25. Okay. To run the business licenses, because we have this IT issue, and I won't go into all that, it is very expensive and problematic to run them as they are needed, like one at a time.
Are we running those once a month, or?
I think we're trying to run them every 2 weeks now.
Okay, then my request would be that we're very specific in telling new business owners that we only print once a month. If you need it today or tomorrow, it's a $25 fee, because I get a lot of calls from that. When somebody, business is money, and when somebody's trying to open a business, they want to get it, pay for it, get open. And, you know, to me, I don't necessarily need the business license in my hand. Other people may need it. So, you know, it needs to be very clear that, you know, for $25, you can get that business license today, you know.
As long as it's passed inspection.
Correct. Yeah,
I don't
no,
want the public to think
I'm-
they apply for a business license, pay an extra $25 and it's printed out.
But,
That isn't
but
how
I've
it
had
works.
people fall into the category where it's been months, so.
City Manager?
Just to clarify, for this process of someone going in to rent a space, they can go online and check to see if they were approved on their
Yes.
license before they get the printed copy.
Also, the lessees and the tenants,
Right.
residential, can go on the
So-
city's website and see whether their property already has a business license
Yeah.
for the rental and it's in effect or not.
So Mayor and Commissioner, I don't want y'all to think that it's just about the paper copy. They can actually go through the process, meet all, and get their business license. They can rent that unit out because it'll be in the system.
Yes.
Okay.
The city manager and I have discussed this in private, and I think also the city attorney as well. But basically, I'm a single mom, which I'm not. But let's say that I'm a single mom. I pay some unscrupulous landlord first, last, and security, and I go to Lake Worth Utilities to try and turn on my lights. My landlord has not gotten the appropriate licenses to rent that out. Can you explain to the public what the process is in that instance? Because certainly what we don't want is for individuals to lose out on, you know, money and time, particularly in a county in which housing is as unaffordable as it is already. You know, we want to make it as easy as possible for there to be remedies for folks who have put money down on places and it turns out that they can't get lights on there.
So in March, as you know, we passed a resolution, which was kind of a pilot program, and people were able to move in and in 45 days follow up. And as you heard from William, there's at least 30 that have not followed up. And citywide, there's hundreds of businesses. You know, this has been a problem for years and years that businesses take the first step, but they don't get the inspection, so they don't know if they're safe. And again, it will come down to safety for the public and the people that are running the businesses there. And in terms of the landlord-tenant type situation, we met with legal aid attorneys because they encouraged us to go to this process where before the lights are turned on, you want to get that license issued. So the Vice Mayor, I want to thank him because he was very instrumental in putting that together. I know he attended West Palm Beach as a landlord-tenant training session. I think the city's going to be implementing that this fall. So we're really trying to reach out and educate the landlords so they know. And in terms of the tenants, you can't always do everything to protect against the unscrupulous landlord. All right, we're going to do everything we can, and that's why we've reached out to legal aid and we've talked to them. And if there is that situation, we're going to be on the phone with them right away and giving that tenant the information. Contact legal aid. That's their world to, you know, fight that unscrupulous landlord. We know that it's difficult because you paid all that money out to someone who's unscrupulous. So by very definition, it's a problem.
So at that moment in which that single mom or whoever it is finds out that their potential lease is at a location where the person doesn't have a business license, at that moment we're gonna bring them the information that, hey, here's where you need to go to get help for this issue.
Absolutely.
They won't need to know. We will let them know.
Absolutely. And I don't know if the Vice Mayor wants to expand on this because really he's taking the lead on this, and I got to give him all the credit for working with legal aid as closely as we have.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, we certainly don't want to put any potential tenant in a situation that.
Excuse me, is there someone turn that off?
There's a breeze blowing through.
Anyone know where that's coming from? Oh, sorry.
Voices in my head. We certainly don't want any tenant to be in a bad place because they're dealing with somebody who hasn't done what they should have done. But we want to remember that the whole genesis and purpose of this is to assure that at the end of the day, every tenant, whether it be commercial or residential, has a clean, safe, and sanitary place to live. We know that there are folks out there who have been skirting the ordinances for some time, and we're prepared for that knucklehead that's going to try to work the system and not return the folks' money in real time, so they can move on. I pity the poor fool, pardon my expression, that tries that, because not only will
Mr. T.
Mr. T, yeah, because I'll be one of the first ones to be there with legal aid and that tenant, beating the drum in front of a judge, saying this is not how you conduct business, and this person, whatever the remedies are, as far as the courts are concerned, to throw the book at these people. And I can assure you that if it happens once or twice, that'll be the only time it'll happen, because it will not happen again, I don't think, much beyond that.
And I will tell you that I'll probably get the phone call from the person in the tenant who does that, because usually I'm one of the first
Madam
people
Mayor,
they call to contact.
Could I just add one more thing to that? Because we, hope the commission blesses this, because we kind of made the commitment to legal aid that when that day comes, when that first test case comes, we want to be with them. We don't want legal aid standing out there alone. We want to be standing shoulder to shoulder, saying we're here for the health and safety of our residents, and we support legal aid in this. So I hope you're all okay with that, because we made that commitment that at least the first 2 or 3 cases, we want to stand shoulder to shoulder with them.
Give me a call. Also.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
I'm definitely going to
certainly let you know that.
Yeah.
And just real quick, William, you said you had about 30 cases that may be coming forward. What's the process with that? Does that come to us, or?
Are you going to notify them?
Because there might be some negative publicity or fallout, I've spoke to the city manager and said my preference would be to let you all know who's coming up to be turned off, let you be aware of who they were and where they were, and at that point make the decision, because it actually falls on me. Great. To let public utilities know it's time to cut the switch. And I didn't want to just do that arbitrarily. I wanted you to be aware of it and be prepared for what comes after that, because in Lake Worth, it's illegal to inhabit a residence without utilities. That's something you all did for in improving one of the second or third ordinances we did back in 2012, was brought back the minimum housing code. So there are going to be ramifications on the property owners where those people live, and we're going to have to get legal aids obviously involved. Now, the process by which this happens, the first ones being turned off are probably going to be very close to the time where this ordinance might be going into effect. This one would come back for second reading on August 1st. It'll go into effect on August 11th.
Is there anybody, I mean, you've got the business licenses on these people, and I know that you all are busy, but I mean, with this being said, and the possibility of this changeover, is there a way that these businesses can be called on the telephone in real time?
The ones that are being turned off have to be sent a notice letter saying, look, you haven't followed the process, you're imminently going to be turned off. I think it's a 5-day notice.
And again, the problem that we always have with that is a lot of these people don't live on the property. They live elsewhere in other states. They don't get the notice. I never knew. I never heard. Is there, because we have their business licenses and their telephone numbers, just for these 30, we can send out
Okay, but keep in mind that some of the 30 haven't even applied for a business license. So the only property address of record is what Papa has. And it is a fiduciary and legal responsibility of the property owner to keep the property appraiser's office up to date on what their current mailing address is.
And the only reason you know it's a rental is because somebody came to the utility department to apply for utilities.
Right.
Commissioner Emerson.
So are we alerting the owner and the renter?
We will, yes.
Because that, if I was a renter and you called me, I would get right on the phone with whoever I send my check to or whoever I'm talking to. They will do the job for us and say, the city called me and they're going to turn my power off because you don't have a license. So I want to make sure that, yes,
I believe the notice goes to both. I will check that tomorrow, but I believe it goes to both.
We know who the tenant is because we have all their information on file, and they're the ones that are, at the end of the day, they don't want their power turned off. So,
And this is why we were going to send you all the list before we proceeded, because it will get a little dicey, I'm sure.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
Thank you. I just want to make sure that when you send these notices out, you do them in 3 languages to the tenants.
That might be a little difficult.
We have someone to.
Just a point of clarification. When the account was switched on under the current resolution, the tenant was made aware that there was a problem.
Sure.
So they understand that we're operating under these rules. It's not something they weren't aware of, because that was part of the whole discussion with staff at utility billing when the account was established. So the tenant understands that there's something wrong. The follow-up with the owner and the valid lease, that's something we're going to work through these properties, and we'll bring back some solutions for you.
Mr. Hardy?
I echo Scott's request that whenever we send these notices out to the tenants, I understand that we've communicated to them at the initiation of this process, but whenever we communicate them with them in between, I think we need to do it in 3 languages. You know, we have a very diverse community. There are lots of people here who I know don't speak a lick of English, much less read a lick of English. And so I think it's important that we have that second and third language there. In addition to that, and I don't know what abilities we possess here. Well, first of all, how many of these 30 or so properties are they residential versus commercial? You know, are they all essentially people leasing a home?
As I understand it, probably about 75% are some residential in nature, either it's an apartment, a condominium, or a single-family home.
Okay, and
Can you rent out a room in a single family home legally?
That's between the person who lives there. If they want to rent a room out, we don't get involved with that. As long as it doesn't encourage overcrowding, which you can't have more than 3 unrelated people living in a single dwelling unit.
Given that it's not a really, really large number of people, I think we need to make a really, really intense effort to get with all of them and make sure that we don't have a situation in which someone's lights get cut off, while at the same time not letting the owners off the hook. I don't know what needs to happen. I don't know if we need to, God forbid, pay for temporary housing for these folks. If it comes to that, I don't know. But I think, look, it's not their fault. And one of the reasons why we're discussing this ordinance right now is because we realized that there was a better way to do it. And so I really don't want to have a situation where people get their lights turned off. We're going back to school in 2 weeks, 3 weeks here.
Commissioner, if I may, Mayor, our intent is to go after the owners.
This I know.
And so that we'll bring back some solutions on that.
Okay.
We're not to do any harm.
This is the first reading. Okay, we've got a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item G, designate a voting delegate for the business meeting of the 2017 Florida League of Cities 91st Annual Conference on August 17th through the 19th in Orlando, Florida.
I move to have Andy Amoroso be the delegate.
I second that motion.
I guess that was planned. Okay.
I beg your pardon?
You're always the voting delegate. That's
Is
what
there-
you do best.
Do you not want to be in?
He's 100
I
years
don't
old.
usually do it. Scott does it.
Well, you now you're good.
Well, I have other board meetings.
Well,
Oh,
if
let's talk about it then.
Scott, do you want to do it?
Are you going to be there? Who's going to be there first things first? You've got a motion on the floor in a second. Before we go there, who's going to be there?
I'm going to be there.
Okay, Commissioner Robinson, are you going to be there?
Yes.
So everyone's going to be there but me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you comfortable with that? Are you comfortable with being?
I sit, right
Or
now
you
I
two?
sit on multiple boards.
So he's not going to.
Scott does not, so
Can
I
I
was
make
going
a
to
suggestion? You
nominate
can
Scott.
actually have one and then as a backup have the second.
Yes, you
so you
can.
can designate 2.
There you go. So the motion would be then, if you want to revise the motion to nominate. No, so you can't make it now because.
Yes, you can.
I'll just withdraw my motion.
Okay.
I moved to.
So who was the second?
I was the second.
You
I withdraw
withdraw.
my second.
Thank you.
I would also then like to move to nominate Andy to be our first voting delegate and to nominate Scott Maxwell to be our alternate at the League of Cities.
Do I have a second?
So moved.
No, we have to have. Do I have a second?
Second.
There you go. Any public comment cards? No. Seeing there are none, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay.
All those opposed?
These guys are.
1. Nay.
Nay.
Commissioner Amoroso.
Commissioner Amoroso said no.
Is it?
Correct.
All right, Robert's rule says if prevailing party can bring this back up. So how do we do that?
Wait, what?
Make a motion to reconsider. if
Make
you
a
want.
Make a motion to reconsider.
I move to reconsider the vote.
So Andy, what's your
Hold on,
opposition?
hold on. I've got to remove the
I'm sorry.
second. Removal of the second? Who seconded it? Oh,
Commissioner
Robinson.
Yes, I'll
Will
accept
you remove
the
the second?
removal of the motion.
There you go. So the vote is undone. Now, at this
No, wait,
moment.
wait,
gotta vote on it.
first you made a motion to reconsider, so you have to have a vote on the motion to reconsider.
So who's entertaining a motion to reconsider?
We are.
Do we have a second?
I second that motion.
They need a second movement and a second vote. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay, there we go.
Now do a new motion.
Commissioner Hardy?
May I ask, Andy, what's your objection to being the delegate for the city of Lake Worth here in the Florida League of Cities?
I sit on multiple boards.
This is on like 3 boards.
North Carolina is a very important city where we're going to be out and about because of the gay and lesbian issues that they took up. So we're going to be doing a lot of things out and about in the city, and I'm concerned that I may or may not be able to get back to vote. So I'd rather Scott be the first and I will be the second. If I can make it to that meeting. There's been other board meeting. The National League of Cities
This is
has
the Orlando meeting.
the Orlando meeting. I was thinking North Carolina.
This is
Orlando.
But Orlando again, I sit on the boards, and there's other things going on. I'm just concerned. There's been in the past where I haven't been to this meeting to vote, and it was great that Scott was the voting delegate.
Okay.
I move to nominate Commissioner Scott Maxwell to be our voting delegate at the Florida League of Cities in Orlando, and I would like to have Andy be the alternate voting delegate.
Second.
Go ahead.
You can do that.
Can you second if he's
Yes.
part of the motion?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor, state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Motion carries unanimously.
That was the most difficult issue of the
Holy
evening.
cannoli.
Wow. All right. Yeah.
Speak up, people. Whatever you want to do, whatever you don't want. You like it or you don't like it. Speak up. We're here to hear. We're here to hear. Sorry. That's what happens when the kids like that. All right, moving on to the
cowardly line.
Didn't I? The Lake Worth Electric Utility. Do we have any presentations or any business?
No, we do not.
All right, then, City Attorney, would you have a report for us? And in fact, there was something earlier I
Yes.
thought that somebody had mentioned, and I wanted you to address it. Now I can't think of it.
With the casino.
Casino. Thank you very much.
I fully expect that on August 1st, you will have the casino item in front of you. I expect that we'll have a proposed settlement agreement that lays out a timeline for completion, that talks about payment of money, and hopefully ties up everything in a nice package.
Hallelujah. Okay.
Including deadlines?
Including deadlines.
Wow. Awesome. Commissioner Amarso?
Were you going to talk?
Whenever I get recognized.
What is due?
Okay. I was just going
This is
to.
part of the attorneys?
No, I wanted to ask. Okay, I'll wait until he speaks, then
I'm
I'll ask
finished.
him personally.
Okay. City Manager, do you have a report for us?
Yes, I'd like to publicly announce that I have selected Ed Liberty as the new utility director for the electric utilities. He'll be coming on board August the 7th. He has a wide variety of backgrounds and experiences from operations, gas, distribution, green energy, budgeting. This guy has had a lot of experience, and he'll be bringing his knowledge and his capabilities to the city. And I'm excited because we needed to get him here. I think you're going to like him, his personality. He explains very complex issues in a very digestible and understandable way, which is important for a municipally owned electric utility. And he'll be moving south with his family. I guess they're en route right now.
Where's he
New Jersey.
Quiet in the chambers.
Quiet in the chambers. So we'll introduce him publicly. During the process, we did hire a national firm who helped us interview. We had some very quality candidates. He also had a chance to be interviewed by the chair of the Utility Advisory Board, Lisa Maxwell, and she was impressed with him as well. So I wanted to make that announcement. The pier was closed today. If you got anybody ask you questions about it, as part of the engineering work to determine there was some damage to some spalling and concrete, we wanted to assess that. So if anybody saw people and divers under the water, they weren't jumping the lobster season. Okay, I don't know if they got any lobsters, but they were looking at the pier. You mentioned the US 1 multimodal process on Saturday from 9 to 2, and this last week on Friday, the staff had an exercise at the casino going through our emergency management plan. We do this every year. I have to say that this program, which was run by the new assistant city manager, Juan Ruiz, was the best. Palm Beach County Fire Rescue as well as the Sheriff's Office participated, and we really, I can say that your staff at the city is as best prepared as it's ever been for an emergency and for hurricanes, And I have a high level of confidence going into some of the storms that we're starting to see. So wanted to let you know that that took place.
Would you,
No, I'm good.
would you include the deadline for the, or not the deadline, but the timeline for the RFQ for the casino complex?
There's an RFQ that's been issued. It's in your email boxes. It'll be advertised this Sunday. And you would ask me the specific dates, and I don't have them in front of me. But it's moving along according to our schedule. I believe in August we'll be having the interviews to review the firms to make selections before bringing them to you. And that'll be looking as a scope of services for the pool facility, the finishing of the casino building, and parking issues.
Thank you very much to everybody. Thank you everyone at home for watching and listening, and for everyone who's been here tonight. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second? They don't want to go home. All those in favor say so by saying aye.
Who seconded the motion?
I'm sorry,
Second.
Commissioner Robinson. Thank
All those
you.
in favor state so by saying
Aye.
aye. Aye. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody.
All right.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Andy, we'd get here 5 minutes earlier. This was an accomplishment.
We did.
This was.